Okay, today's lesson is going to be about blindness. Today's lesson is about blindness. There's this energy around a lack of hope. There's this energy around pessimism, nihilism, feeling as though the world is ending, or feeling as though there is no hope in the world. There's this tendency to pester on that energy. There's this tendency to, there's this energy of holding on to that kind of vibe, I guess you could say, out of enjoyment. I'm getting the message that we tend to hold on to these seemingly negative experiences because we subconsciously enjoy having negative experiences. There's a feeling that these negative experiences invoke within us that feels painfully good, is what I'm hearing. And so we're in a situation, we live in a world that feeds off of that feeds off of this simulation, this stimulation, this painful stimulation, because we like it, because we enjoy it. And so this is why we see a lot of it in the media. This is why we see a lot of it in our collective communication, like media outlets or those who have large platforms. We see it a lot in social media. There's this underlying tapestry that subliminally communicates this this understanding that we enjoy pain, we enjoy suffering, we enjoy being in this energy of negativity. And what I'm getting is that this is neither good or bad. It's not necessarily something that uh, should be shameful of, that we should be ashamed of, but it is something to be considered think about the when we think about the things that we want versus the things that we are actually doing, right? What are we doing to Is what we're doing currently supportive of what we want? Okay. There's something about narrative here, the power of narrative. We have the ability to pick and choose what narrative we want to go with, both individually and collectively. Some of us understand this already. Some of us understand the power of narrative. Some of us understand the power of storytelling and the stories that we accept. And so, this is why you see a lot of people who appear to live better lives than others, even though um, some people may have had very dark or depressing or traumatizing events happen to them in the past. But it seems as though their present version of themselves, their self, It seems as though the present version of that person is flourishing or vibrant or glowing. And it's because of the power of narrative. It's because of their ability to rewrite or rewire yeah, it's because of their ability to rewrite or rewire. It's interesting that rewrite and rewire is coming up here because rewrite can be related to rewriting a story or rewriting a narrative. And then rewiring has a lot to do with rewiring like circuitry or a machine of some sort. And so this brings into question um, programming and narrative. Programming and narrative. Spirit is saying to think about what that means. Programming versus narrative. I keep hearing you have the ability to choose. You have the ability to choose. You have the ability to choose. You have the ability to choose the narrative that you want to experience. The world that you want to see is in your hands. The world that you want to see is in your hands. I'm getting the message that whatever you're experiencing currently, you have the ability to also experience the opposite of that. So if this is a negative experience or a seemingly negative experience, we have the conscious ability to also experience the quote unquote opposite of that. I'm seeing a coin as well. So this is about having the ability to see things from multiple perspectives. So when I think about seeing things from multiple perspectives and I think about narrative and programming and the mind, and we all have the ability to choose, what I'm getting is that as human beings, we have the conscious ability to choose whatever experience we want to experience. And so the emotions we want to feel, the sensations that we want to feel, the thoughts that we want to think, the relationship that we want to have with each other and the world around us and with ourselves, that is all something that we can consciously choose to bring into fruition. This is not about waiting for anything. This is about choosing consciously. Spirit is saying to think about limiting beliefs and the limiting programming that has been ingrained in your brain, causing you to feel as though you have to wait to experience new things. Spirit is saying that there's a part of you that does not die. There's a part of you that does not die. There's a part of you that dies, but there's also a part of you that does not die. This has a lot to do with spirit and the fact that you are a spiritual being. Spirit is saying that that's the illusion of reality. We think that we're only living a physical experience, but we're also living a spiritual, more complex, more higher level experience as well. This aspect of ourselves is what allows us to experience physical reality itself, not the other way around. So it is our spirit, it is our internal experience that gets displayed in our physical reality, if that makes sense. Almost like a reflection. And so for those who do not know this or who are not aware of this, of course they're going to be disillusioned or illusioned. I don't know if I use that correctly. Of course they're going to be stuck in this elusive loop of feeling as though they're helpless, feeling as though they are out of control, that they don't have any sort of autonomy over their experience. But spirit is there's something that we must know, and that is the fact that we are spiritual beings, not just physical ones. There's this energy around seeing the self through a clearer lens, through a more purified lens. And it is through seeing yourself through this more clear and purified lens that is part of what elevates or enhances the human experience. And so it is through seeing ourselves and seeing the world through this more holistic lens that we experience less suffering, essentially. But that requires this process of rewriting the narrative, of rewriting those narratives that do not serve us, of rewiring those inner circuits that hinder or block us from fully enjoying our experience. This also involves embracing death. This also involves embracing the fact that yes, death is imminent, but at the same time, death is not everything. Death is something, but it's not everything. Mm. There's something about the sky here. There's something about the sky. What I'm seeing is that when we look up at the sky acts as a symbol of the universe. When you look up at the sky, you look at the clouds and you look at the birds, you look at the stars and the moon, and you think of the planets and you think about what's out there, what's beyond Earth, right? What's beyond this planet? What is beyond my experience? And so spirit is pointing to that. It's pointing to the importance and significance of looking beyond ourselves and beyond our planet in hopes of understanding that we are much more complex and we're so much bigger and we're capable of so much because we exist in this vast space, and because, you know, because we're here, because we have this sort of function in the grand scheme of things, right? And so this is about looking beyond the illusion. This is about looking beyond the veil. This is about looking beyond the narrative and the programming that we've been running on for centuries. And it's about stepping into the role of creator, stepping into the role of author, and writing a new story, not just for the self, but for humanity, for the planet, and for the cosmos. Spirit is showing me an image of like an orator or like a historian. And when you think about history and the way that I guess our collective culture um, observes history, observes recording things, just think about the way that humans have the ability to, or humans have this role of recording things that happen, not just on the planet, but in the entire universe. Think about, those who recorded discovering Pluto, those who discovered these different planets and star structures, and these people who discovered these new inventions. Think about the people that discovered things like electricity. These are all things that are recorded. And so, even that in and of itself, when you think about humanity and its role, humanity plays a really big role in documenting and preserving um, all the things that are kind of going on that we can perceive um, in this grand structure that is the cosmos, right? So, again, this lesson is really pointing me to reveal to you guys, to reveal to us as a collective, that there is this boundary that we've sort of created for ourselves. And now is the time to look beyond that boundary. Now is the time to look beyond that one way mirror, you know what I mean? Beyond kind of what we've kind of accepted, if that makes sense, because there's so much more. And what Spirit is saying is that this hunger or this longing for peace and love and to just be happy and to just have a more fulfilling experience. The key to that lies beyond our own limits, right? It lies beyond the constraints and the boundaries that we've created for ourselves. So this includes conversations around death, the idea of death, and the idea of dying, right? That includes conversations of about the universe and about our place in the universe. That includes conversations around the planet, the world, and what was the planet like before us, and what will the planet look like after us, and what does that mean in terms of our place currently in this present moment in, you know, playing a role in that, right? Understanding our role in that. This involves conversations around the narratives that we um, tell ourselves that influence our behavior and the way that we treat our own selves and each other and the planet. That includes the programming, whether that have been, consciously or subconsciously, the programming that we're sort of running on that also influences our behaviors and our beliefs and our perception. um, that includes doing an audit of what things are beneficial to my experience and what things are not beneficial to my experience, both individually and collectively. This includes not being selfish as well. This includes understanding that there's more to life than just you and I. There's more to life than just us. There's more to life than just planet Earth, right? There's so much more. And so it involves just simply having those conversations about what's really out there. What does everything really mean? Is this really beneficial? Is this really something that we should be doing right now or focusing on right now? Is this something that is actually significant and important? as it relates to humanity and being a part of humanity and being a human being, and does this is this indicative of what it means to be a human being, right? Just simply having those conversations is really important here. um yeah. And the also lastly, there's this idea of optimism, this idea of learning how to maintain a sense of optimism even though things may seem extremely bleak and dark, because that optimism acts as a torch, it acts as a lightning bolt, it acts as a flame in the darkness that is what it is. It acts as that way of that way shower of being that sense of direction when things seem really dark and like there's no other path to go down. It's maintaining that sense of optimism, at the very least in oneself, within oneself, that keeps things moving and keeps the wheels turning. Okay, so that is the lesson that I have for today. I love you. Please be safe, and I will see you in the next one. Okay.